How is it going, guys? Winter Kills here. Welcome to the fourth and final round for this week's set of feature matches. This is also going to be the last locals feature match that you guys are going to see on the channel for the foreseeable future, maybe for the rest of the year probably, and into 2021. As many of you know, my locals is canceled again due to the pandemic. So it is what it is. Not much else we can do. But we've got Virtual World versus Pure Mekk-Knight. Yours truly playing Pure Mekk-Knight over on the left. This match was covered in brief detail in an episode of One Deck 1 Month for Mekk-Knights, which I'll leave an annotation to that up in the top right of the video if you guys want to check that out, as well as the previous rounds, rounds 1 through 3 for this week. So if you haven't checked those out, feel free to do so. So our Virtual World player here having a very rough turn. Pot of Desires and passing. You hate to see it. Really, really rough start. Not finding much in terms of starter cards there for his deck. But this is where I'm playing Ibly here. Going into Link Disciple and, picking up a new card here off of Link Disciple. Making room for Purple Nightfall here. So all is fine and dandy here. I go for the Gear Suit out of Force of Habit. I'm like, well, I already burned my normal summon, so let's not go for that. And the bittersweet thing here about this Ibly is, like, I have to use its graveyard effect, right? Or else my opponent, who's literally done nothing this turn, the fact that he has done nothing is going to make it virtually impossible for me to play simply because of the way Mekk-Knights work. So Ibly quite literally saved the day because I was unable to hard draw a Gear Suit. That is literally Pure Mekk-Knight's only plan to play either going first or when they have to go second and the opponent hasn't done anything, which ideally you would think would be like the perfect scenario, just a free OTK. They literally did nothing and they passed, assuming they don't have a hand trap, right? But that's not the case for Mekk-Knight. Ibly is gonna make it so, like, I can't OTK because I don't want to get rid of the Ibly, and I have very little resources to work because my opponent didn't have any cards in play for me to make columns with, so I've kind of got to make the best of both situations. Ibly's going to stay on the field, but I still need to get some damage on. So going for Spectrum Supreme is going to allow me to do just that. Keep the Ibly on his board and also attack directly. I do have Secrets and Memory in play. I should have put the Secret below the Spectrum Supreme, so later in future turns I could use its effect to send off the spent Secret to, summon out a Mekk-Knight from deck, but I guess I wasn't thinking that far ahead here. And you'll notice my opponent is basically forced to put Ibly into attack position and crash into Spectrum Supreme here for another 3,000 points of damage. So 6,000 life points gone just like that. And because, the Virtual World strategy really can't do anything under an Ibly because the deck is primarily made up of, Ixies and Synchro plays. And speaking of Ixies, one of everybody's favorite Ixies monsters, and, with regards to the new ban list that's come out. Luckily, this feature match here, even though it was recorded all the way back in November, is literally completely fine to show in this new December 2020 format because neither deck were affected. One, you kind of think might have been affected, and the fact that it, might not be able to or should not be able to make a card that will literally force specific interactions, or else you'll lose a turn. I think we all know what card I'm talking about. Looking at you, True King of all calamities. I'm looking at you. But Virtual World, just in general, even if we don't factor in calamities, a lot of the Virtual World monsters activate in the hand by targeting, spells and traps and stuff. So, like, your best, 2-card wombo combo for mass monster negation doesn't really do too much to stop those monsters from hitting the field. So, like, it's pretty good. It can dodge around a lot of that stuff. So he's going to synchro for Charge Warrior, and then he's going to follow up with E-Telly to, I imagine, get out either Lulu or Nyan Nyan, and it looks like that is Lulu, which is a card I've actually considered teching into Speedroids as an additional emergency teleport target, simply because it is a wind psychic tuner. So, very, very good synergy there with the rest of the Speedroid strategy. He's going to summon Crocosaur, which is a card that I have not summoned in quite a long time. I miss Mermail. We might do some more Mermail content in the future. because I do quite miss Mermail. Maybe some testing sessions or something along the lines of that. I don't really have a new deck profile for the deck. I haven't really done anything with it, so there's no reason for me to do a deck profile. But he's going to chain the Crocosaur, and I'm going to chain Secret in response to make sure it gets extra negated. I'm going to stop the draw and stop the pop. Debating on setting a few cards here, and it looks like he'll set 2, and that will do it for his turn. I'll draw a card. Standby phase, Purple Nightfall is going to return here. Now, there's a little bit of an issue going on here. I make like a slight mistake, sort of. I was kind of tunnel visioned on just going for the direct attack with Spectrum Supreme here, since there are no cards in its column. But, you know, he does, you know, potentially have that Chuchi trap card, the continuous sort of like Raigeki break. And he does have the Crocosaur in his field, so I'm trying to dodge around both of these. And keeping Indigo in the same column as Crocosaur is going to prevent it from being able to pop Spectrum Supreme right now, since it can be targeted and destroyed. But he's going to go ahead and use Chuchi here, so technically I could have chained Purple to move the Indigo out of the way to make it so, you know, Spectrum Supreme wouldn't have been able to be destroyed by it. But then again, he could have maybe just chained Crocosaur to that, but since Purple hasn't resolved yet, you know, it'd still be negated. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's one way I should have tried to play around that interaction. But either way, main phase 2, I resolve Purple, and he just goes ahead and scoops it up. If you're interested in picking up some high-quality TCG gear and accessories, consider checking out ImperiumDuelist.com at the link below. Feel free to use my discount code WinnerKills10 at checkout to get 10% off your entire order and support the channel in the process. All right, so things looking pretty good for Mekk-Knights here so far as we head into Game 2, up 1 game against Virtual World. I do want to let you guys know that you can support the channel just by shopping on sites like TCG Player or drawface.com by using my affiliate links to their sites, which both can be found in the description below. If you guys use those links while you shop and check out, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go right back into the channel. So really, really easy way to support the channel for cards you're already going to be buying. So Virtual World getting started with King Long. Then he's going to follow that up by special summoning out the Virtual World Kirin Lily. Some of these card names are extremely hard to pronounce. But basically it says if this card is in your hand, you can target 1 Virtual World card you control, send a Virtual World card of a different type, monster, spell, or trap from your deck to the graveyard. And if you do special summon this card, then you can send a Virtual World card of the 3rd type from your deck to the graveyard, except itself. So a lot of these cards basically have small novels for their summoning condition. But as you can see, they just pretty much all do the same thing. They just summon themselves to the field by targeting another Virtual World card they control, and then send, you know, a Virtual card of a different type from their deck to the grave. Most of them pretty much do that same thing. And then you have Lulu, which is one of the better ones, because when it's summoned that way, you get to add a Virtual card of the 3rd type from your deck to your hand, so it immediately searches something out. Nyan Nyan is a card that you guys might have seen me play in Speedways before. It's just a fantastic extender for the deck. If it's in the graveyard, when a level 3 monster is normal or special summon, you can just summon it out of the grave and it's treated as a tuner. So yeah, great extender there, allowing him to get access to Virtual World Crocosaur, might as well be called that at this point. And also on summon, it will net him a draw. And then I believe going to continue extend here, just basically off the sole fact that he has this continuous spell up. Gonna summon Lao Lao now by dumping 1 to the graveyard, and Lao Lao is a level 6 tuner. And yeah, it's gonna go ahead and spec out another Virtual World monster. I believe that was the Zizi Jilly. I cannot pronounce any of these things. And then Yan Yan coming back as well via its own effect. And then he's gonna make the Walking Macrocosmos Virtual World Kyubi Shen Shen. And then he's going to use Chuchi Engrave to boost up his last monster to become a level 9 for True King of all Calamities. Are you guys ready for some fun and interactive gameplay? I'm sure you all are. Here we go. Did I draw the cards needed to out this field? Let's find out. Well, we're going to start off with Harpy's Feather Duster. Not quite what we're looking for, but it's pretty good, so we'll take it. Also, our Virtual World player not shotgunning the Calamities in the standby phase. Now, I've seen a lot of advocators for, you know, draw phase, standby phase, shotguns, or just kind of holding it in the main phase and, you know, call their bluff on the Kaiju type deal. But either way, the card is still very effective, however you look at it. But Harpy's Feather Duster is not a negate for Calamities. Girsu either is not a negate. Now, he will activate Calamities in response to Girsu's effect, so Girsu will still get to resolve since it already activated. And Calamities obviously doesn't negate effects, thankfully, so I'll still be able to send World Legacy World Chalice from the deck to the grave. And let's also, you know, not overlook the fact that I'm locked out of my battle phase here or anything, because why not throw that in there as well? And this is just, I think, one of the prime examples here, a very, very basic example of why Calamities going to 1, like some people suggest, in my mind, quite literally does absolutely nothing. Sure, it stops them from making 2, but in a large majority of situations, 1 resolving is all that you're going to need. Especially when you make things a little bit more complicated by the fact that you have a card like Virtual World Kyuubi Shenshen on the field, acting as a walking macrocosmos for any card sent from the field being banished instead. Which is, of course, making things a little bit difficult right now. You know, I'd like to not lose a card like Indigo, or Girsu for that matter. Just because, you know, having Indigo and Grave is pretty nice. So I'm forced to just wall up here with the Morningstar, because I can't do anything else. I'm locked out of the battle phase, and next turn, since he basically was able to skip my turn, you know, for the most part, he's just going to be able to pop off here and continue to extend uninterrupted. He's going to summon Lulu to go grab Chuchi, and Chuchi, I think, is the one card that really takes it over the edge, being able to protect Calamities as much as they can, and how searchable that card is. And they can also play that card directly from the deck with a card like Kowloon, which is also pretty insane. The fact that, you know, it can remove Calamities from the field to dodge Dark Ruler, and also to dodge Droplet. It's just absolutely absurd. It makes the card literally invincible sometimes. That's why I think the whole argument of Calamities going to 1 is such a terrible, terrible argument, because as you're seeing here, literally having 1 is all it takes. Having 1 Calamities is simply going to be enough. I'll take 700 there. I'll take 28. I'll take 3K. And that is quite a bit of damage to try to make up here, especially with there still being 1 material left under this Calamities. I'm going to try to resolve my World Legacy World Chalice. He's going to Ash it. And yeah, that's just pouring salt in the wound. We're going to head into Game 3 here. No one is surprised that Calamities, as soon as it resolved, the game ended soon after. I saw some people in the few banless videos I made saying that Calamities needs to go to 1. Like I said, I don't get it. Yes, they can make 2. It's disgusting. It's absurd. Giving it pretty much like a 100% chance of resolving. Even if it goes to 1, like I said, it's still very easily protected with Chuchi, and there it is being activated via Kowloon from the deck directly. Because why do we need to play trap cards like trap cards? Let's just play them directly from the deck. But I mean, I get it. The main reason, obviously, I want to sell that Phantom Rage that's stinking up everybody's inventory right now. They're just sitting there at $50 a box. They got to move them somehow. Just to be like, hey, you can summon this card for 3 more months. Have at it. Have fun. Everybody at your locals will love you. I mean, the people out there that advocated for it to go to 1, or maybe say that it doesn't need a ban, like, I don't know what's up these people's sleeves, man. They might be quite literally built different. They just always have the out for Calamities. Maybe it just doesn't affect their board somehow. I wish they would teach me their ways. Maybe I should pick up Dragon Link. That might be the answer, actually. Because obviously Mekk-Knight just isn't cutting it. If I pick up Dragon Link, we can just turn it into a true dice roll decided game, where if I win game 1, he goes first game 2 and wins, then I go first in game 3 and win, and that's the match. I'll stop ranting now. I'm a little salty, obviously. I'll stop. But I do get pigeonholed really into going second here, mainly because I don't want to have what happened in game 1, where I really have a very weak play. If I don't see a proper normal summon. Like, I saw Ibly game 1, which was great because it allowed me to play, because my opponent didn't give me any columns. It's obviously like a good and bad situation. My opponent opened so bad that they couldn't play anything, but since they opened so bad, I also couldn't do anything. That's the issue. And as you can see my opening hand here, I believe it's all spell cards. So if I would have had to go first here, I think I would have set maybe a droplet and a memory and pass, which is just horrendous for a Mekk-Knight turn. I think any Mekk-Knight player could agree that's not a very optimal hand. You got to see Girsu or else you're really going to have a slow start. So he has literally the full setup here. You know, Chuchi with Calamities paired with Kyubi Shen. Now, I slapped down D-Ruler. Triumphant D-Ruler activation. You know what? I got this. I'm in control. Psych. You thought. How about he goes ahead and chains Chuchi to the Dark Ruler because you can respond to Dark Ruler with spells and traps, just not monsters. That's exactly what he's going to do. And then in response to Chuchi, he's going to chain Calamities. So I'm like, wait a second here. Wait a second. Have I been bamboozled? And obviously the Dark Ruler will still resolve. It'll clear the Kyubi. It won't stop the Calamities from activating, though, because it'll already have activated. And it's a lingering effect, so there's the whole logistics behind that. So I have to chain now, Droplet, which you can be like, oh, you could have just started with the Droplet. You didn't even need the Dark Ruler. Well, the thing is, you know, I have to send cards from my field to the grave. So I have to start with Dark Ruler and then chaining the Droplet to send off another Droplet in my hand to be able to stop the Calamities. Because I need a second way to stop it. And even if let's say if I just had Droplet, if I activate Droplet and send off a spell in response to the Calamities, you know, he can just send away the Calamities with the Chuchi and dodge it that way because it's no longer on the field for it to be negated by Droplet. Like, it's just, if it was literally just Calamities, it's one thing. But it's, I mean, even if it's just Calamities, it's too much. But the fact that it has Chuchi on top of it is just, it's just so degenerate. So we're going to link into Lib here. And one thing I want to notice here too is, point out rather, is the monster zone that is above Chuchi. There should be a token there, but I didn't put it there. And mainly that's on both of us. I was expecting my opponent to put something there to mark that there was a Girsu token there. Obviously, we didn't want to put our cards onto our other opponent's mats if we didn't have to because of the way the whole rules go and social distance dueling and things like that. And, you know, with that happening, I kind of forget to put the token there, to remind him to put the token there. That's on both players, obviously. And that does matter just a little bit. And we'll point that out a little bit later when that does kind of matter a little bit. And that's mainly here, I guess, coming up. The Lib gets rid of Kyubi, and the Ding gets rid of the Calamities, so we're able to at least get rid of those cards. We're actually able to play here. Now, I grab Blue Sky here. Technically, there should be a full column for me to work with in the same column that the Chuchi is in, but I have to set this card here because I forget that there's technically a token there. It's accepted game state at this point. There's really not much I can do about it. I remember reviewing this match on my stream a few weeks back, by the way, link to my Twitch below, where sometimes I'll review and talk about feature match rounds, especially now that my locals is online. I'll record the matches and I'll go over them on my stream. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to. Have been playing a lot of trains and speedroids at locals. So for my train and speedroid fans, yeah, definitely give my Twitch channel a follow. Link to that down below, as I've already mentioned. So the Blue Sky and the Dingirsu are going to get linked into the Morningstar. I think I discarded maybe Indigo there. I noticed off camera. But I grabbed the Secret here. And, yeah, discarding Indigo. So a pretty solid field through and through. I can't do any damage this turn because of Dark Ruler, so I do have to pass it over to him. He's going to start with King Long and Grave, which basically says, manage this card from your graveyard to add a virtual world monster from your deck to your hand, then send one card from your hand to the graveyard. So just a nice little graveyard searcher there, acting as like a second hand. So Virtual World, very good deck. And some people are like, oh, well, if Calamities goes, you know, Virtual World, it's not going to be a good deck anymore. Why would they do that? Why would they just kill Virtual World? Well, here's the answer. It's quite literally plain and simple. It might seem outlandish, but here's the print better Virtual World boss monsters. There, give them a rank 9 boss monster. There you go. Problem solved, folks. It's that easy. It's quite literally that easy. They have 2 rank 3s, and they have a rank 6. I'm sure they'll get a rank 9 at some point. It only makes sense. Give them one that is, you know, fair and balanced, as we like to say. But here comes a Vermilion Mech Dragon, and that Chuchi is still giving me trouble here because I was unable to establish key this game. Already trying to have to deal with so many threats on the field. Kyuubi and the Calamities. Had to clear those while they were negated. Could not afford to leave them on the field. They had to search out other cards in the process. So he does use Vermilion Mech here. And I chain Secret. He chains Chuchi, pops the Secret, and thus I'm not able to negate the Vermilion Mech once all the chain links resolve backwards. And, you know, I lose both those cards there in that trade. And then he's going to start popping off like crazy. And again, technically, if that token was there, he wouldn't have room to summon that other Nyan Nyan. Maybe he could if he would have sequenced his plays a little bit differently. And then, you know, maybe Synchro or Exceed first. He could have technically, but again, it's accepted game state. It's mainly my fault. But I'm not going to lose too much sleep over it. This game happened well over a month ago, as I said earlier. So he's going to attack in with Cicada King, which is a cool card to see here, being used by Virtual World, as he played it in Speedrise before. So Cicada King will get in for 12, and then I'm going to chain Memory here to summon out Yellow, because that will block both Kyuubi and Vermilion Mech from being able to get in with a direct attack, because Yellow Star does have 2,800 defense. It's a pretty big wagon on that fellow right there. And I believe he's going to use End Phase Chuchi to boost, I think, Shen here. Boost Shen's level until the end of the turn. Might be doing that to be able to get extra banished cards live. You know, because you do need at least 2 banished cards live to use the Chuchi on field. So just doing that so we can keep that count up. And I think I end phase Memory. Or no, I think I standby phase Memory here. Or just use it at the start of my turn. And that's why it is banished. And Purple Nightfall is out. Going to try to follow up with the World Chalice. And there's Key. Finally getting access to it. This point in the game, which, you know, might be a little late here. Gonna attempt to activate it, and he's going to chain Chuchi. So at least that is burned. Won't be able to get the crown, or the chalice, rather, my bad, back to my hand. But, you know, still got purple on field, so that's good. A Purple Nightfall actually returned in the standby phase. My apologies. I was looking at the Chuchi on my other monitor to read its exact effects. That returned in the standby phase, and the Memory that I used in the previous turn to block damage got banished because it was sent from the field to the grave by the Shen. And then I'm able to actually fire off an Imperm here mid-turn while I have no cards in field, which is great. And here I actually, you know what? I think I realized at this point in the actual game, like, I forgot that token was supposed to be there, so I went and put a token there anyways because I did not want to forget this time around. Because it actually did kind of make a little bit of a difference. But it's just, you know, a reminder. You got to keep track of the game state. You know, simple things like that. A token from Gearsu. Keep track of it. Obviously, don't do the silly mistake I made. Because, you know, it might matter a little bit. Ultimately, you know, he still has a Macrocosmos. I feel he still had basically a Raigeki break. And I'm still working on low advantage. But I'm going to try to play through it as best I can. Link and do another Morning Star with Lib. Get rid of Kyuubi because I don't want that card in the graveyard. Because if I keep it there, he can basically just summon it back via Shen's graveyard effect, which basically says you can, during your main phase, except to this card sent to the graveyard, banish 2 other monsters from your graveyard with different original types and attributes from each other and special summon this card back. So I didn't want him to be able to recur that card. So several times this match I've been spinning that card back, whether it be with, you know, well, just mainly using Lib to get rid of it, and then removing other problematic cards with Dingirsu. That's why those cards are 100% mandatory in Mekk-Knights, as they are very, very good forms of removal in the extra deck. So now he's going to go all the way up into Totem Bird. Tons of extension here. And Totem Bird is pretty good because it's going to be able to stop that Secrets play, which is going to get forced when he uses Vermilion Mech to be able to pop Morningstar. He's going to swing with 27 and 16 because Totem Bird does lose 300 attack and defense, or 300 attack, I believe, when it has no materials. So won't take 1900, so we'll take 16. And I've got a pretty big life point gap to make up here, especially as time is getting very, very close to being called here. So I'm going to start panicking, which is obviously not what you want to do. But obviously I got to play fast, I got to shuffle fast, I got to search through my deck fast. Every second counts here. I've got to try to get as much damage on as I can because of the way the new time rules are, obviously. You know, purple returns, go for blue, blue for Gearsu, and I go into Morningstar, and I just really don't have a way to get through this board that he's got. My only hope is to try to punch over this Totem Bird that he has. I'm just trying to think, looking back now, if there's any way to, like, maybe if I had a way to climb into something like Boral Sword. But I just don't think the way was there. You know, maybe if we go way back and say, oh, you know, those 2 tokens technically were still on the field, I could have had more advantage to work with, but, you know, hindsight's 20/20. What are you going to do? I go into Spectrum Supreme, get over the Totem Bird for 14, and, yeah, lo and behold, it's not enough. So, Virtual World, we'll take that one, 2-1. Mainly Calamities. Should just swap that picture with Calamities there at the end, but I've said enough about it. I think the card should be banned. I think it should have been banned, and I hope Konami will correct their mistake come March and put that card to 0 where it belongs. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did. Drop a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to help the channel get to 20,000 subscribers, hopefully we can hit it before the end of the year. I don't know if we'll be able to, but it'd be absolutely fantastic goal to reach before 2020 is out. So subscribe if you haven't already. Click the notification bell to get notified when all my videos go live so you never miss a thing. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, WinnerKills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members here on YouTube, and they are Academic Thick, Zors, and Mr. Cadillacs 84. Thank you guys so much for your continued and very generous support of the channel.